Hi there. We are now on to our 2-point perspective um, drawing. I've started with what I consider to be probably the hardest one that when I looked at 1-point perspective, some of you were having difficulty with the image that goes half above the horizon line, half below the horizon line. So I just drew it out. I'm going to show you step by step from the beginning. I will start a new page and draw it from the very beginning. Then we're going to do below the horizon line and above the horizon line, one of each for you as examples for 2-point perspective. So this part is crucial. So I did get some in 1-point perspective, which is much easier, some small mistakes, let's say, by using your vanishing point. Sometimes when some of you would use two geometric shapes on a paper, they would do everything right, but take away the inner construction part. This inner construction part, I would like you to leave, because I find that that's really the way of seeing if you understand or not. Because some may draw the image freehand, and then it's not what we're really trying to do. It's not a freehand drawing. It is a drawing where you have to be somewhat precise. So that's what I would like. Okay? So my horizon line is right in the center of the page because I want my geometric shape to be half above and half below. So it would be straight. My line of vision is, or my height would be the horizon line. My two vanishing points are my eyes extended on that horizon. So as I mentioned before, in 1-point perspective, if you have a board behind your drawing pad, you may extend that horizon line even further, and your box will appear, or geometric shape will appear, very natural. I sometimes push the drawing so it looks a little bit exaggerated, the perspective. But sometimes I like exaggerated perspectives. So if you don't like that, then you just extend your horizon line further and your vanishing points beyond the paper of 18 by 24 inches. Okay? So that's it. Let's start. Okay, so I'm going to start the drawing, but the first thing I have to do is set up my horizon line. And my way of doing it is I know that this is 18 inches, so I go 9 inches. I'm going to do the center there. I make a notch. If you don't have a long ruler like I have, you use, your smaller ruler and just find 9 inches on the paper. Make a notch. And then connect. And if you don't have a long one, you just make 3 notches. So you do this, you connect to the center. And then you connect to the other center. I'm sorry, to the other end from the center. So there's my horizon line with a small ruler. Now, what makes 2-point perspective different than 1-point is that at one point you have a flat plane towards you, parallel to the horizon line, parallel to your ground line. But now this changes, and now you have a leading edge. So this, you can see, goes left side goes to a vanishing point on the horizon, and right side goes to a vanishing point on the horizon. But now we have to start with the leading edge. And the leading edge is going to be somewhere here. Pick your place. And I'm using charcoal, a charcoal pencil, so that you can see this much easier. So I'm going to select a size of the box. If my box is really, let's say, 5 inches wide, I don't want it to be too small, so I'm going to make it maybe 6 inches. And I'm going to pick, because on 2-point perspective, you have 2 vanishing points. You do not want your 2 vanishing points to be equal on your horizon line. So it'll show, if they're equal, it'll show a square type form. I'd like to show like a rectangle, okay? So I'm just going to pick haphazardly an area and then find my 2 vanishing points. So I said I'm going to, if it's 5 inches, I'm going to make it 6 inches. So I get 3 and 3. So there's my leading edge. Now I always start with finding my vanishing points. So because I want to make a rectangle, then I'm going to find one longer left vanishing point. I'm going to find a shorter right vanishing point. Now, if I really set this up somewhere where the box is at this height, my eyesight is, let's say, half of the box, this is what we're going to be seeing. So if I put the box somewhere, and I don't have enough room here to, establish that for you, I'm going to do a guesstimate. But what I would be doing is, I would really be trying to sight and transfer the angle, this angle, and just put it here, and then with my other hand I would project that line, and that's just transferring the angle. And the same thing I could do on this side. I'd lock my elbow in like this and transfer that image and just bring it here, and with my other hand I would establish my angles for my vanishing points left and right. Here I'm going to do a guesstimate. I'm just going to go play with it. And so if this is point A and B, one goes here and one goes there. So let's start. That point creates my vanishing point, and I mark it. Now this one is going to be my other vanishing point, and I'm doing a guesstimate. So there we have our first beginnings of our bottom plane. Now, as I said before, the best way to see how a box is constructed is by allowing the inner construction of the box to be seen as if the box were transparent. So that's what we need to do. So now I have to find a point here, because I can't go to my right. The right side can't go to the right vanishing point. It has to go to the left, and the left, my guesstimate, will have to go to the right. Okay? So I'm going to try to pick a part that shows me a rectangle. And I'm going to do this in my guesstimate. So that's going to be my foundation or my floor or bottom part of the box. Now I need to find a place over here that gives me this idea of rectangle, and it's also a guesstimate, an educated guess that goes to this vanishing point over here. So now I'm going to find it and look for it. And where I look at the two crossing, remember, I do not want it to go behind here. I want it to be somewhere in here so that I can see my other walls, side walls. Okay? So I just look and see what may look interesting. Okay, I've decided on this. And now I bring that line, make it visible. But now the other line I could make a little lighter, just so that I can erase it. That's my foundation, my base. Now what's next? To bring my walls, I need to have this, now the second part. So if this is point A, now we need point B to come down. So we go to the right, and then we go to the left. Okay? Now I can start erasing so as not to confuse myself. Any superfluous lines that I really don't need, including my horizon line in the center. As long as I know where my two vanishing points are, I don't need to have my horizon line confusing me. In the middle, I can erase some of these lines. So it's not one of my important fundamental lines. Okay? So I'm just going to emphasize my front line. Now, what do we do next? Well, to get the side walls, we need to bring our extremes and then our center. But first our extremes. This goes up to this line, and this goes up to this line. So we have to make sure we have a straight line, so I try to balance the ruler on something and have it come up straight, because I don't have a triangle that big. See that one? Trying to get it to balance. So there we go. Now, you're probably asking, what's next? So, what's next? We need to get the back wall. Okay? So what do we have to do? Right side has to go left, and left side has to go right. So where those two cross should be the meeting point of this ground line. So left goes right. Have to make sure you're on spot so that you don't give yourself wrong lines that will not meet. And then this part here where the other one came in has to go here. And I almost have my box, my geometric shape. Okay? The meeting point is right there, and this has to connect with that. So I'm just going to darken this part, my base, so I can see exactly where the angle is, the point of contact, and then connect it to that. Find it, and if it's right, it should connect. So there it is. I'm going to erase all superfluous lines of construction that are not really indispensable to you seeing the perspective. So I'm cleaning with my swatch of carpet, my eraser, so that I can eliminate those lines. It's always important to have a clean eraser. Okay? So, getting rid of certain lines that I don't need. So, start from the outside, getting rid of lines, because now my box is really finished. Okay, so we do not need this line. Sometimes even I will be confused, so I have to step back and look at it to find the lines that I don't need. You know the old saying about too many cooks spoil the broth? Well, that's for the kitchen. Here, for a drawing, too many lines confuse the drawing or the perspective, the person drawing the perspective. So I try to get rid of my lines, and now I'm going to emphasize my lines that I need so that you see it. Now my inner lines I can draw dotted lines, you know, or broken lines, space, 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 like that. Or you just leave it very light, but you can see it. So I'm going to do just a little bit lighter, the inner lines, the inner construction line, so that you see it. What happens if I do the inner lines the same as the outer lines? What happens is, and I was letting you think about it, what happens is that the perspective gets inverted and you have an optical illusion, and it's like turning your socks inside out. The backside comes forward. So we don't want that in perspective, because then you see a strange illusion of a box backwards. So this is how your shape, geometric shape, half above my line of vision on the horizon line and half below. So the ones below always go up and the ones above go down. It's that simple. Okay? On to the next exercise. Thank you. Is this very visible?
Is it talking to us? That's what I always take that. Hold on.
Is it visible?